It's Q&A with the pastor number 2. Let's get into it. There's no preparation. I don't know all the questions in advance. I don't look up answers. I just get them and I answer them. Who is your favorite youth leader? Oh, this is easy. Without a doubt, 100% certainty, not a doubt in my mind. There's not even a sliver of hesitation. My favorite youth leader is, will there be a grad service? I mean, we can't technically meet in the same way we've been meeting, so no, not as you know it. But I do have a couple of ideas. One, I could do your grad speech thingy by video, record it, and then send it to all of you guys or post it on our Instagram. Or we could maybe do a special small service just for all of you grads in your family. Let me know what you think, what you want. What do you think about 5G towers? If it makes the internet here faster, I'm all for it. If you've ever played Kahoot in this building and you've lagged because of the internet, you're all for the 5G towers too, I'm assuming. I've seen people make weird claims that they give them nosebleeds and their kids are getting hit with all sorts of weird UV rays and whatever. Rubbish. Oh man, I'm gonna get some emails about that answer, I bet. What's a secret you have? Well, that would sort of ruin the secret now, wouldn't it, if I told you? You asked, I'll give you one. Many years ago, when I was just a wee old middle schooler, I had heard a rumor that if you dial 911 in the middle of a phone number, it would still call the emergency services. And so I tried it out. And then when I heard 911 operator or whatever it is she said, I hung up right quick. And then they called back and I had to give the phone to my dad, and I blamed my little brother because he was a baby and my dad wasn't gonna get mad at him. So Daniel, I'm sorry, but you were young, you weren't gonna get in any trouble. It totally blew by a minute later. What age will we be in heaven? I don't know. I think we'll be adults. And could Matthew 19 verse 14 be proof that we are all children in heaven? All right, well, first let's read Matthew 19:14. But Jesus said, let the children alone and do not hinder them from coming to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. It would be a stretch to take this passage and say that Jesus is teaching that at the end we'll all be like children in the sense that we'll be resurrected and our bodies will be restored or regressed back to a young age. That's quite a reach. I mean, Jesus is not actually teaching what life will look like in heaven and in the new heavens and the new earth. Rather, he's teaching the disciples not to restrict the young children from coming to him. And he's teaching a spiritual lesson here. Heaven is not for those who are mighty and those who are rich and those who are powerful and influential and have accomplished so much, but rather those who have childlike faith and come unto Jesus eager to be with him. What is your favorite Marvel movie? Oh, without a doubt, Infinity War. 100% hands down. And I'm about to talk about the ending of it. So if you haven't seen it, turn off Instagram or YouTube, whatever it is you're watching this on, and go outside. For the rest of you real movie buffs, here's why I loved Infinity War compared to the rest of the Marvel movies. I didn't know what was going to happen. I actually didn't see it coming. I was kind of surprised. And usually when I watch movies, I'm like, okay, this is what's gonna happen, I know. But this one actually kept me guessing throughout the movie, and so I really liked that. I didn't think that Thanos was going to win in this one. I thought that there would be some close call and then they would drag it out into a third movie. But to see him actually do that snap and half the people disappear, I thought that was actually a pretty bold move by the directors, the story writers, and I really liked it. I also think it wasn't nearly as cheesy as the last one was. And the first one, I don't even remember the first Avengers, so clearly that one wasn't that good either. And all you Spider nerds and Captain America fanboys or whatever, don't be messaging me what about this movie? It was so much better, there's less plot holes. I don't care. Do you have tattoos? No, I do not. Should Christians get tattoos? That comes down to Christian liberty. I think we in Christ have the freedom to choose these things. Now, I have personally decided I won't be getting tattoos, and there's just plain old practical reasons, and then there are spiritual or faith reasons why I won't get them. For practical reasons, I don't want to get a tattoo, and then when I get older and fatter, it just looks awful. I don't want to spend money on some dude drawing on me. I've heard that people who get tattoos often say that it's addictive and you just want to get more and more, and I feel like with my kind of personality, that's just not a healthy habit to start. If I was going to get a tattoo, I wouldn't want to have to hide it all the time. And yet at the same time, I wouldn't want tattoos always showing. And my wife Jesslyn has said that she's wanted a tattoo in the past. I don't know if she still feels that way, but I definitely would have a much weaker argument against her not having a tattoo if I went out and got one myself. As for faith reasons why I would never want to get a tattoo, tattoos are just a stumbling block to a lot of people. If they know you have a tattoo, it automatically just puts an image or a perception in their mind. And while that's not right on their part, I don't want to put any stumbling blocks between me and people for the sake of Christ. If God was to ever call me into foreign missions or to go into areas that are dangerous for Christians, I wouldn't want any physical markers that would give away my faith and bring unnecessary persecution. I'm not scared of dying for my faith, but I don't want something that just like gives away or screams Christian if I'm trying to go into places and bring the gospel to people when there's an oppressive government or some other factor at work. I also think there's just something beautiful in the way that God created humanity without any markings on their bodies, besides like natural birthmarks or things like that. And so to me, like putting ink in your body is, even though it's beautiful and there are fantastic pieces of art that people have gotten, to me, it just brings the image of a stain, and I don't want to stain my body. I think God made me wonderfully the way that I am. Don't get me wrong, I have all sorts of issues with my body. My knee's garbage, I am getting fat. All that aside, I just think that God has made us like wonderfully, and I don't want to change that with a stain. I feel like when I get questions like that, I'm doomed, because people who get tattoos are going to think I'm stupid, they're going to complain, and the people who think Christians should never get tattoos won't like the fact that I wasn't strict enough about it. Did you ever skip school? Yep. Have you ever cried at a movie? Yeah, actually I have, twice. Years and years ago, I lost a friend, and a week later I went to see a movie with my wife, and it was a movie with The Rock in it, San Andreas, I think, and as buildings are collapsing and just loads of people are dying, my face just started like pouring tears. I couldn't even help it. I wasn't even crying, I was like leaking. But it was just all this emotion as death suddenly felt really different to me. And the second time was a few years ago when my wife and I went to see a movie a couple weeks after my mom got cancer. I was really looking forward to seeing this movie. It was about some girl who goes missing and her dad tries to find her through like all her different social media things, and he finds out she's got like this super different life than what he had ever understood or thought. Whatever. At the beginning of the movie, the guy's wife gets an email about like some test results, and she has to go in, and then she finds out she has cancer, and the first few minutes is just like of their child growing up and of her cancer developing, worsening, and then ultimately she dies. And that just struck such a chord with me. That might be like one of the most raw emotional moments of my life. I actually like was holding my wife's hand, and I just like started pouring. I was actually shaking. It just brought up all of this emotion that I hadn't really dealt with yet. And it brought up the idea of like losing your mother, and at the same time this guy's losing his wife, and the idea of losing my wife is devastating. And like, man, I almost walked out of that movie. It wrecked me. This next part of the video is called No. And what happens here is every question that I read off, the answer is just no. And to save breath, no. The answer to all of these questions is no. Do you have TikTok? Will you buy me V-Bucks? Is Bill Gates trying to implant trackers in everybody through forced vaccinations? Did you know rabbits like licorice? Is Judas in heaven? Okay, slow down, Bible Karens of the world. If you're going to send me a message saying that Jesus saves everybody, or who are you to judge, only God can judge, Jesus literally said it would have been better for him not to be born. He is the son of perdition. Don't write me. What is your middle name? Are there any more questions? If you have a question that wasn't answered, or you want to get in a question now that you've heard my responses to this and maybe you have a follow-up question, just shoot us a message. I'll get back to you pretty quick, or I'll just throw it in our next video if we do a third one.